Well, good morning and welcome to the latest Elevenses. It's show number 112. You're watching Kevin Williams here at Survival Skills Rider Training, and I'm bringing you 20 minutes or so of topical news, controversial views perhaps, and usually some better biking tips. I think we haven't got any better biking tips today. What we do have, however, is we have a story about scammers creating a fake fundraising page after an Australian biker was killed in a crash. Brough are making a comeback in France. We will be talking about Ford, who are backing a consortium to communicate between bikes and other vehicles. Energica, the Italian electric motorcycle manufacturers, are adding a different fast charge technology, and I'll talk about that very briefly. When you can get a hugger for an Enfield Himalayan, you know the bike's gone mainstream, and we'll have a quick look at one of the worst time promotional aids ever. We have Sue, Paul and Nigel all saying good morning. Paul says it's bright and chilly. Yes, it was sunny until a moment ago. The sun seems to have gone in, but it's certainly very, very chilly and quite snowy here in northwest London. Right, okay, now you probably notice I'm wearing headphones today. That's because we have had a pneumatic drill going off just outside the door. So hopefully that you won't hear that too much with me using headphones today. Right, okay, so it's all a little bit chaotic this morning, a bit more chaotic than usual. Apologise for that. I've been working flat out to get the presentations ready for Shiny Side Up, which started actually yesterday in UK terms because of the 13-hour time delay. My first presentation will actually be on Saturday in New Zealand, which means I'll be delivering it on Friday evening here. So it's all very confusing with the 13-hour time difference, and I'm going to have to watch my timings very carefully to make sure I'm up at the right time to deal with the New Zealand time difference. And one of the things I forgot yesterday as I was working flat out trying to finish one of the presentations was that I forgot to put the tips on Tuesday item up onto my coffee page. So I will get around to doing that later on today after I've finished here on Elevenses. All right, so yes, as I say, chaotic. Cheryl has just looked in, so hello, Cheryl, good to see you. Now, you may remember I reported on the death of a young Queensland rider, Jennifer Board, who was aged 22, and she was killed last Friday night on the way back from a group ride with some friends when a car allegedly being driven by vigilantes and chasing another vehicle smashed into her. The car they were pursuing was thought to have been stolen by teenagers. Excuse me. It's now been revealed that scammers actually created a fake fundraiser for her funeral. Her family released a statement on Sunday to explain that they'd seen a fundraising page had been set up, allegedly to cover the costs, but they said it was a fake. I can't believe I actually have to write this, but last night a fake GoFundMe was set up to raise funds for Jennifer's funeral expenses. John Board wrote on a post on Facebook. Our family has not and will not be setting up any such kind of fundraiser, so please do not donate to them. The fundraising page was set up on a website called Go Get Funding and claims to have been made by Graham Board. That's Miss Board's aging father, who's in the early stage of dementia and has been badly affected by his daughter's death. Fortunately, only 2 people had actually donated to the fundraiser to a total of $20, but John Board's encouraging anybody who knows anything about it to contact the authorities. You know, sometimes you just listen to a story like that and you just cannot believe that people will sink that low. So, you know, my sympathies are with the family on all counts out there. Cheryl's just looked in. Good morning, Cheryl. Right, so with Norton relaunched under the control of the Indian manufacturer TVS, and already planning to restart production. BSA have been bought out, of course, by Mahindra, and they're ready to relaunch as an electric motorcycle manufacturer. Triumph are still UK based in name, but are actually shipping all all motorcycle production offshore. The last 2 production lines will close soon in the UK. Royal Enfields, of course, have been built in India for several decades, so I suppose it's no big shock to discover another iconic British bike brand should also be making a comeback, but in France. And this is the famous brand Brough, as made given its cachet by Lawrence of Arabia, and the manufacturer is actually based out in Toulouse in France. Now, T.E. Lawrence of Arabia, famously owned 7 of the bikes in the interwar years, but production of Brough bikes themselves at their factory in Nottingham ended in 1940 when it was requisitioned for Britain's war effort. Bike building didn't resume after the war, but the bikes gradually reached a cult status on the second-hand and auction market. So where did the latest version of the Brough come from? Well, it began to take shape in 2013 when Thierry Henriette, who was a former Toulouse motorbike salesman, met with the Brit Mark Upham, who actually owned the Brough Superior trademark, which he'd bought 5 years earlier. Within 3 months, Henriette had come up with a prototype for the new Brough that actually went into production, firstly under license, but Henriette took over the brand completely in 2018. What we're doing is heritage theft, is what Albert Castagne, who's Brough Superior's CEO, said. But if you do it well, the English will forgive you. Well, I hope they do. But the rationale behind basing the manufacture down in Toulouse is the availability of very highly skilled subcontractors in the region, because that's where, of course, some of the Airbus is actually built. And they say that these manufacturers are absolutely indispensable because the Brough requires high value materials, including titanium, carbon fiber, and specialty steel. So the ultra modern factory, which is in Saint-Jean, will deliver around 100 Brough bikes this year at a price tag, brace yourselves, of between 60 and 100,000 euros. And on top of that, customization will actually cost extra. You'd think they'd throw it in for free at that kind of price, wouldn't you, quite frankly? There are 3 Neo retro models, a contemporary version of the SS100, made famous by Lawrence of Arabia. There's a Scrambler, and there's also an Art Deco effort. I'm not quite sure what that will be all about, but it marks the brand's centenary. And of course, Brough started earlier, sometime last year, I think it was, a collaboration with Aston Martin, and their first motorcycle, being called the AMB01, will actually be made by Brough, and 10 units of that particular motorcycle are actually already at the assembly stage. Right, so Cheryl has looked in. Good morning, Cheryl. And Patty has also shown up. Hi, nice to see you, Patty. Right, okay, moving on rapidly. We've probably heard about the web of things, where unlikely objects communicate with other unlikely objects. But of course, one of the proposed uses for this interconnectivity is to connect vehicles with each other and infrastructure. And Ford, the American car manufacturer, believes that the best way to prevent car and bike accidents is actually to get cars and bikes talking to each other. Now, as I say, the idea of this connected vehicle sort of network isn't a new thing, but Ford is actually now pushing ahead and has formed a consortium to test the possibilities that technology provides to prevent collisions between cars and two-wheelers. As with all car manufacturers, Ford has been working hard on improving driver aids, particularly with regard to the detection of moving objects, vehicles and pedestrians, but they basically rely on either the vehicle itself taking some action or passing that information to the driver, who then does something about the problem. But this is the next step. This is the interchange of information between vehicles, and the idea is that each vehicle that talks to another receives real-time information about where the other vehicle actually is, its speed, its direction, all that kind of thing. And they can build a picture of what's around them without necessarily even being able to see that vehicle. So Ford have, in collaboration with a company called Tome Software, who are based in Detroit, the motor city in the US. And given that Ford actually already own an electric manufacturer of scooters, which is called Spin, between the car, the bike and the software startup, they will have a perfect test bed there, one hopes. And basically they aim ultimately to sort of spread this technology right across the car manufacturing and bike manufacturing worlds. All right, okay. So if you wanted evidence that the Himalayan from Enfield had gone mainstream, look no further than this hugger. The bodywork manufacturer Pyramid Plastics, who you probably will have heard of in connection with their plastic products for, they start out with sports bikes, I think, but they certainly cover adventure bikes as well. This hugger actually fits the Royal Enfield Himalayan, and it does exactly what you'd expect. It keeps muck off the rear shock and linkage area and away from the underseat sort of region of the bike. And it's made from exactly what you do expect, ABS plastic. And it's made in any colour you like, just so long as it's matte black. Price, considering it's a few pennies worth of plastic, £50 always seems extortionate to me, but I suppose it's quite reasonable compared with some accessories. But there you are. That's bringing the hugger to the Himalayan. Meanwhile, electric bike manufacturer Energica is actually upgrading their bikes to a second fast charging standard. Now, they were already equipped for fast charging via the CCS fast charging standard, but they'd now be offering their bikes ready to charge with the CHA-DE-MO standard. I've no idea what the technical difference between the two is, but this upgrade is apparently being driven by the need of the Japanese market, which the company's just entered. And it throws up the problem that there are different standards. You know, with a petrol engine, you pretty much put petrol in it and it goes. There are obviously issues to do with the octane rating of the fuel, and there are a few bikes that you can't run on low octane petrol. And obviously you can't put diesel in a petrol engine and vice versa. But the electric market is still evolving. And one of the problems is that there are these different standards appearing, which means that basically the bike has to be able to cope with both standards. And the difference basically revolves, as far as I understand it, around how the control unit manages the dialogue between the electric motorcycle itself and the charging station, which is feeding power to the bike. There needs to be an exchange of information, first of all to initialize the charge, then to monitor it and manage it according to the battery technology and the charging technology, and then finally, of course, to stop charging the battery when it's actually topped up properly. So what's needed in the case of this bike is an extra fast charge socket under the seat. It seems that charging times will remain identical to the original CCS standard. Basically, that allows you to fast charge it at the rate of 6.7 kilometers per minute, which is pretty rapid, isn't it? And a slow charge gets you 63 kilometers per hour. That doesn't work out, does it? That's actually pretty much the same he says, looking at the numbers. I don't know. That's what was in the article anyway. But the idea, as I say, is to allow the bikes to be charged on different chargers in a different part of the world. According to the company, it's their commitment to the Moto E electric racing series, which has led to some significant technological improvements, including a high capacity battery. The 2020 models are all available with a 21.5 kilowatt hour battery for longer range. That's a pretty big battery. Right, okay, have a quick look at this too. If you wanted the worst timed promotional material of all, this is probably it, given that we're in the middle of a lockdown. Offering free in-store promotional items to trade customers seems like bad timing, but that's what Motul, manufacturers of lubricants, fluids and care products, have done. Dealers who purchase just 12 Motul MC Care products can claim a free counter display unit, which you see there on the right. But if the dealer spends over £1,000, excluding VAT, from product purchase, they'll receive this rather tasty Motul drum table and 4 drum stools. Did strike my mind that perhaps they should actually open up that offer to the public. An oil drum table and a set of seats sounds pretty much like what every biker's garage actually needs. Right, okay, as I've got quite a lot of work to do on sorting myself out for Shiny Side Up and trying to figure out how to work around the 13-hour time difference, and when people put on an email, we're meeting at a certain time. Is it Australian time, UK time, West Coast American time, or where? I have no idea. While I work that out, I shall cut the show fairly short today. Couple of reminders. Don't forget, I am attempting, when I remember, to put the latest Facebook Tips on Tuesday and Skills on Saturday posts up onto Coffee, and the idea is, when I remember, to publish them simultaneously. I'm still continuing to provide all this for free, so you'll be able to read them in both locations, but they will be moved on Coffee into the supporter section at some point, where there are over 300 better biking articles already to read. So that's just £3 to get you probably the biggest and best value rider resource on the internet. Okay, they'll also be indexed, of course, which will make it a darn sight easier for you to find. Don't forget, there's also my 60-second safety videos, which are going out on my YouTube channel, which is Survival Skills with the UK on the end, Survival Skills UK. Pop over there and have a look at them. They're getting increasing traction. People are seeming to find them useful. One thing to add is that this software that I'm using has just had an upgrade, which now allows me to share a video within the stream. So what I might actually do is, when I do those on Thursday, I might show them to you on the following Sunday, just as a sort of an additional talking point on the show. And finally, don't forget, there is the newsletter as well, which goes out now on Fridays, which has a roundup of the week's event on Facebook, thereby allowing you to avoid getting caught out by Facebook's algorithms, which will quite happily show you a fluffy cat and not my own posts. Last but not least, I am available for sorting out presentations. As soon as I've got everything organised with New Zealand, I'll be back in the market for that. I've got one lined up with TVAM, I believe, coming soon. We're talking about that at the moment, so that'll be good. Don't forget, you can also catch up with old shows on Coffee or here on Facebook. And that's it for today. Do stay safe out there, and I hope the noise from the drill didn't come through on the microphone too much. Right, so who have we got? Is Tesla making motorcycles, says Alan? Not yet that I know of, but who knows? Sue asks that maybe Motul are anticipating reopening soon. It's quite possible that the offer is a Euro-wide one, so there definitely are some places which probably can order and get them in to the store. And Patty says that would be great, which I assume means the tips on the Thursday videos. So you're right. Great to see everybody. As I say, I'll be back on Sunday at 11 with the next show. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Sorry, it's been a little bit chaotic this morning, but I have been a little bit tied up with the New Zealand business. I'll tell you more about that, hopefully, on Sunday morning. Bye for now.